Welcome to the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show with Larry Lawson. As a former career law enforcement officer and law enforcement educator, Larry focuses on the use of tried and true law enforcement investigative techniques in conducting paranormal investigations. Despite his experience and training, Larry also keeps an open mind to discussions on topics that deal with evidence that are not quite as physical in nature. Paranormal Stakeout guests are professionals in the field of the paranormal and parapsychology, conducting the investigations and research needed to further the cause of paranormal study. Larry advocates an agenda of standardization of structure and training in the field of paranormal investigation and research for the purpose of one day being able to produce the evidence needed to convince a jury of the existence of the paranormal. Whether it is ghosts, UFOs, unsolved mysteries, hauntings or cryptids, no topic is beyond the investigative reach of Larry Lawson and the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show team. Now, here is the host of the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show, Larry Lawson.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Paranormal Stakeout. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, coming to you from the beautiful state of Florida, Vero Beach to be exact, the headquarters of the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation and Indian River Hauntings. Just to start off, if you'd like to learn more about our organization, you can get a hold of us at www.paranormalfbi or www.indianriverhauntings.com on both of those. So, got an interesting show tonight. I know we've talked a lot about ghosts, but we're going to go into a different direction tonight. I think you're going to enjoy it. But before we go, I want to remind everybody that at the beginning of each show, what we'd like to do is take your questions, your thoughts, your comments on the paranormal, whether it be a question that you have about the paranormal, whether it be a comment or a thought you have about the existence or non-existence of the paranormal. Get a hold of us and we'll read your questions and your thoughts right here on the air at the beginning of the show. And you can get a hold of us at ghostguy@paranormalstakeout.org. That's ghostguy@paranormalstakeout.org. So send in those questions so that we can make you part of the show. Now, tonight's guest is really intriguing. This is probably one of the first UFO type of shows that we're going to do, and tonight's guest is a gentleman named Ronny Dawson. He's an oil worker from Texas, and he has had one heck of an amazing UFO home invasion alien first contact experience. It's received national and international attention. In fact, he was actually on the show first caught on camera on Japanese TV. He's got a YouTube channel, Ronny Dawson's YouTube, over 1 million views. He's also an author, Ronny Dawson, a UFO story. So, and you can get a hold of that at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and any of the online marketers for books. He's also a featured speaker. This I find interesting. He was a featured speaker at UFO MegaCon in Lawson, Nevada in 2021. 2017, he had a very specific, very significant alien contact. And in 2020, had another one. And we're going to find out more about that with my guest, Mr. Ronny Dawson. Ronny, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Larry. It's good to be here.
Wow, what a story you've got, my friend. And it's a story that many have heard. You've had it out there. You were at MegaCon 2021. I'm going to ask you about, I'd like to hear about that a little bit later, but tell my audience a little bit about Ronny Dawson and how this all happened.
You know, I'm one of those guys that work outdoors most of my life, and for the most part, I haven't seen anything, and didn't really believe anything was out there to see. But that all changed in about 2019, man. I've been out there working nights for 9 months at a time sometimes, and I know everything that's up there. We did a lot of plane spotting, and we've seen meteors and, you know, all sorts of stuff, but I never seen anything that I really couldn't explain until about 2009. And man, it got weird out there. I mean, we started seeing lights that would come on out of the trees. They would go off. They would move about. They would drop to the ground and they'd shoot back up. And I mean, and where we were at was out in the middle of nowhere. And there was just no explanation for this stuff at all. And I contacted MUFON and everybody else, like everybody that I knew to contact. Uh-huh. And a MUFON guy went out there and he seen them too, so he was like, man, I don't know what we're looking at. He goes, but okay, I can't explain it.
Well, Ronnie, just to kind of reel you in a little bit there, what were you doing out in Texas? What is it that gets you out at night and moving around to see these type of events?
Well, what do you do? I basically operate a $250,000 piece of equipment. It's a crude oil transport truck. I go out, I buy the crude oil out on private leases and load it from the batteries and once I load it on my truck, it becomes my company's, and I transport it to the pipeline facility, and then it goes to the refineries and stuff like that. So
got it. And you're out at night a lot doing this, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so your first experience was in 2009. Did you ever have any experiences when you were a kid or younger? A lot of folks have experiences when they're young, but did you?
Well, I mean, my dad has seen some ghosts and stuff like that, but as far as UFOs, and I live in the Bigfoot area, so we used to go hunting in the woods, and we'd always tease each other about Bigfoot out here watching us, So but I knew when I was in the woods with a gun, the most dangerous thing in the woods is me with a gun. So.
Okay, so you're out in the middle of the Badlands of Texas, 2009. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, man, it's just weird. I'm seeing these lights and I can't explain them, and other guys are seeing them too, and everybody's got explanations for what they think it is. Secret military operations, helicopters flying with night vision and crazy stuff, but helicopters are loud, noisy things, and you can hear them from 5 miles away. These lights are up close and personal, and you can't hear anything, and they come on, they go out, drone. I fly a drone. I have a drone, if the lights go out on it, there's a problem. They don't just go out and then come back on at will, So
sure.
There was no explanation for it. And then I seen a cattle abduction. That was I was watching this big array of lights, and 3 broke off, and it traveled about a quarter mile away. And I seen a blue beam shoot to the ground, and there was something in that blue beam that was rising like a smoke or something like that. And I was getting closer and closer to it in my truck while I was traveling down the highway, and I was looking out of the window and rolled the window down so I could get a better view of it. And then all of a sudden, when I got closer to it, I could see that what was in the blue light being lifted, it was about 30 feet in the air, was a cow, and it was whipping its head from side to side as it was being lifted. And I was thinking about stopping and just watching what was going on, but after I seen that cow being lifted, I really just wanted to get out of there, and I was worried the thing was on top of me, following me.
I can understand. Did you see what it was, what the light was coming from?
No, it was there. You could see the lights, but the craft itself was not glowing or lit up or anything. It would just be 3 big round circular lights that had a whitish blue light shining from them. And even the big craft that they broke off from, you really couldn't see the craft. You could just see the lights. The lights were huge. I mean, they had to be like, the size of a car or bigger. They were huge lights. And then it's almost like it wasn't really lights. It was like it was illumination shining from inside something else. Like it was like a illumination shining through a porthole window. That's what it seemed like.
Now, I may have misunderstood you, but the craft that you saw this light coming from broke off from a larger one. Is that what?
Yeah. There was like 9 lights. There was an array of 9 lights, and 3 broke off from the array and traveled to my left, and about a quarter mile down, it started descending, and then a blue light came on, and then there was something moving around, and it looked like a humanoid figure on the ground that had a green light around it. And then inside the blue light, you could see something rising. And then when I finally got close enough, I could see it was a cow, and it was whipping its head from side to side as it was going up. It was about 30 feet off the ground. They're heavy animals, man. We used to get them out of pump jacks, and the speed at which these guys traveled over there. And I mean, our best military guys couldn't go over there and harpoon a cow and lift it into a helicopter in the time that these guys had pulled all this off. They did it amazingly quick. And
now, did the cow go all the way to the spaceship?
yeah, I mean, I didn't watch it go all the way into the ship. I just seen that it was being lifted, and it was time. I was right even with it. I was fixing to have to stop and watch what was going on, or just get away from it. And from what I've seen so far, I just wanted to get away from it. And after seeing the lights, you know, I was starting to think, man, this has got to be UFO activity out here. It's nothing I can explain. Then after seeing that, it pretty much checked all the boxes for me. Yeah. Like, this is not from around here.
And this was your first specific incident involving a UFO.
Yeah, correct? It was the first scary incident. Now the lights, they were exciting and trying to figure out what they were and stuff, but it didn't really scare me like this did. This put the fear of God in me, you know.
I guess.
Like, man, I don't know what this is, but I didn't feel safe being there in the presence of it.
Okay, well, when's the next time you had an experience?
Well, I mean, I started seeing it wasn't just the lights. Now it was I started seeing some craft and I was talking to some MUFON guys. They're going, get some pictures, man. You got to get some pictures. And I was carrying a camera and I was trying my best to get some pictures. And I missed on a couple of opportunities where it was like I pulled up on a lease and I was fixing to open the gate, drive through it, and there was a UFO hovering in a field over there, and I could see the lights that were going around in a circle. I couldn't really see the craft that well, but I thought, I'm going to get a video of this thing. And I had my camera on the dash of the truck, and I opened the gate like I wasn't paying any attention to it. And then all of a sudden I jumped back in my truck and I grabbed the camera and I jumped out in the ground going to video this thing. And it was almost like I was watching them, but they were watching me back. Because as soon as I grabbed my electronics, that thing tilted and then just shot off. I mean, the lights went out on it, and then the sound it made was almost like if a fly flies in your ear. You know, it was a really high pitched screeching, annoying sound that it made when it took off. And it tilted and just went out. The lights went out. I couldn't see the craft shooting off, but it tilted like it was fixing to leave. And then the lights blinked out, and then you could hear this really high pitched buzzing, like a fly just flew in your ear.
And it was gone. And
yeah, it was just gone, and it didn't come back. You know, so I missed that opportunity. And then another opportunity that I missed, it was in daylight in the late afternoon. I was coming out of a lease in the late afternoon, and I noticed it looked like a big black cloud of smoke over this rural, like a vacation home off on private property. And I said, oh man, there may be a fire over there. I might need to call the fire department or something. So I thought, well, I'll get a better look as I climb this hill. From where I'm at, I'll be able to see the house a lot clearer. And as I climbed the hill, getting closer to the house, I looked over at the house to see if it was smoke over the house. And it was a big black fuzzy. I mean, you could not see any shape to it. It was just really blurry, like almost smoke looking. And then all of a sudden I seen the 4 white lights come on, same white. It was the same round white light shining out of something inside, you know, like an illumination inside something. I thought, man, that's not smoke. That's a daggum UFO.
Now, because it was daylight, could you see the aircraft at all, the spacecraft at all?
Yeah, I could see it. The craft was just really blurry and black. I couldn't see anything well defined. It was almost like they had some kind of stealth technology that was failing or something.
Well, we got to take our first break, Ronnie. When we get back, I want to hear more about that. Folks, stay with us. I'm with Ronnie Dawson, alien abductee. We'll be back right after these messages.
From the Canada-US border in the southern region of Niagara, traveling north in Ontario's Golden Horseshoe, then east and west of the Greater Toronto Area, there is growing awareness and excitement as more and more people are starting their day with Beautiful Mind coffee, the delicious healthy coffee that your brain will love. Made with ethically sourced 100% Arabica coffee, Beautiful Mind coffee is roasted and ground in small batches to ensure each bag contains a wonderful full-bodied artisan coffee. Scientifically formulated, Beautiful Mind coffee is the only coffee blend that contains 3 herbal ingredients found to aid in boosting your daily mental clarity and focus. Maca root powder, green tea extract, and American ginseng have been selected for their ability to support good brain health. Taking care of your brain's health now can help delay or prevent the onset of cognitive dysfunction, including dementia, Alzheimer's, and more general memory loss as you get older, just by enjoying the delicious flavor of our roasted coffee and herbal ingredients found exclusively in Beautiful Mind Coffee. Beautiful Mind Coffee is now available at Amazon.ca and soon to be available in selected locations near you. In Hamilton, Ontario, Beautiful Mind Coffee is now available at Livelong Wellness Clinic, located at 189 Hewson Street South. Beautiful Mind Coffee can be ordered by telephone by calling 416-436-3675 or 905-536-2450. Why have a good cup of coffee when you can have a great cup of Beautiful Mind Coffee that's good for your brain? For more information on Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit us online at www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca.
And we are back on Paranormal Stakeout with my guest tonight, Ronnie Dawson, alien contactee and abductee, actually. Ronnie, fascinating story. Now, you've talked a little bit about your first contacts or your first times you've observed this back in the 2009, 2010 area. Did you ever see any cattle mutilations, anything like that?
No, I was wondering about what happened to the cow, and but like I said, I didn't go back in that area for a while, and I didn't get a chance to see any cattle remains laying in the pasture over there or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no idea what happened. I don't know if they kept it, if they took it, if they did something to it and put it back, or who knows, man. If it just turned up missing, there's no telling what happened to that cow. I'm just glad I wasn't with him.
I don't blame you. So going on with the chain of events here. So now that you've had the second incident where you saw it, or third actually, where you'd seen the craft during the day, what's the next progression in the story? What happened after that?
Well, I'd seen like 2 craft in like 6 days, and I decided, and I was trying to think, and I was dealing with skeptics and stuff like that, and trying to get some evidence and trying to get some proof, because I don't want people to have to take my word for it. I want to have some pictures or something, some solid evidence to show them. People want solid evidence, and I hadn't had any luck in getting it. So I was trying to think outside the box too, going, well, even if you did see a UFO and you took some pictures of it at night, it's a blurry light in the dark, and it ain't going to prove to a lot of people very much. So I was trying to think, how could I really show somebody something that this is something weird? This is not something explainable. This is something paranormal. You have to show something amazing. So I was trying to think outside the box. So I'd ordered this powerful green laser. It's one of them green laser pointer pins. It's like 250 megawatts. And
wow.
I mean, this thing will shoot a green beam about 10 miles. And the whole point of me ordering this thing was, what I was wanting to do was, I thought if I could get close to a UFO and I could shoot this laser at the UFO, if the craft's propulsion system was bending time and space, it should make this laser appear to bend. And if I could video record something like that, then you're going to have some good solid evidence that this is a paranormal entity.
Wait, give that to me again. You were going to use the laser and you were going to actually set it off and shoot it at the UFO.
Right. Yeah, that was the plan. Shoot it at the UFO.
Let's just poke the bear. Let's just poke the bear, don't we?
Yeah, I'm trying to prove that UFOs are visiting us, and I'm dealing with a lot of skeptics and people out there just don't want to believe anything. So I'm trying to come up with something amazing to prove my point. I know for a fact what I'm seeing, because I've seen it from the first person. But to have something to prove to people who aren't seeing it in the first person, you have to have something like that. And I was thinking that maybe if I could catch that laser beam bending and have it on a video, and maybe that would be some good solid evidence that I could prove that this is really something odd that we're looking at and recording here, not just some blurry light in the distance. So that was the game plan. So I contacted a friend of mine who agreed to go UFO watching with me. He manned the camera and I was going to man the laser. And there were some military jets flying around, and I was thinking, man, we're not going to see anything with these military jets flying around. So we were out there quite a while. Finally, the jets left, but we were running out of time, and my friend was the one that seen it, and I was about to give up hope, but I'd seen 2 craft within like 6 days. Tonight was the 3rd sighting in 7 days. So,
okay. So this is okay.
Yeah. And my friend, I was about ready to give up, and he said, look, he said, what is that? And I looked where he was pointing, and it was that 4-light craft, same 4-light craft that I had seen before had showed up. And it was probably, it was about 300 feet off the ground, and it might have been a quarter mile away, if even that, so it was reasonably close to us, about 200 or 300 feet off the ground. And I said, that's it. That's what I've been seeing, and so I grabbed the laser, and I didn't want to shine it on the craft, but I shined it around the craft in a circular pattern, and I didn't get no beam deviation. I said, man, it is not bending at all. And I assume my friend's over there with the camera recording all this. Yeah. And I'm not paying attention to him, but I was firing that laser at that thing was pretty scary, because I was hoping that they wouldn't misunderstand my intentions with it. And
wow, why would they think that, Ronnie? I mean, you just point a laser beam at them. Okay.
It's dangerous. I know this is dangerous. It's scary, it's scary, dangerous. And we're working outside the box here, and it could go very bad. We could be 2 piles of ashes laying up here on this hilltop. And I didn't see, I said, I'm not getting the beam deviation I was hoping to get. And I said, I'm going to shine it on the craft out. And I said, I'm going to see if it reflects off of it like a mirror, or if it lights it up or what. And so I shined the laser right on the thing, and it just absorbed the beam. I mean, it didn't reflect it, didn't make a glow where it had hit it or anything. And I said, my God, it looks just like it's just absorbing it. And I said, I hope you're getting all this on video. And I looked over at him, and he's standing there with his hands on his hips, and his mouth is wide open, gawking at the thing. And the camera's like 3 feet away from him, laying on the chair. And so he didn't get by the time we grabbed the camera and picked it up and got it started up and running, this thing just, all 4 lights just blinked out. And that was it. We didn't see it shoot off or anything. It would just disappear. So another opportunity.
Well, two questions I have to ask you in here. You had the chairs out, obviously, so you're waiting. What made you pick that spot? Was that where you'd seen them before?
No, I hadn't seen it. It was almost like I'd seen them in like 2 different counties. It was almost like they were keying on me. It's like either there's a whole lot of them, or they just happen to know where I'm at and show up. And,
but what made you pick that spot to wait for them?
Because it was a good dark place, and it's close to town, and he lives kind of on the edge of town, and he lives on top of a hill, and it's nice and dark. It's a good place to UFO watch up there. Not a lot of, you get away from the street lights and stuff like that. So I figured it was just about as good any place as any. If they were going to show up, it didn't seem like they cared too much where I was at. If they wanted to show up, they could find me. And I still not sure how they did find me.
You think they were kind of keyed into you? Is that what I heard you say? That maybe they were?
Yeah, it had to be, because the sightings I had were like in several different places, like 3 different locations, and all of these are like 3 different counties. I mean, I travel, the area that I cover is over 100 miles from where I start out in any direction. So it's almost like they would have to find me. Okay. It's almost like they were keying on me somehow.
You say there's 4 lights on this craft. Were they in 4 corners? Were they circular? Trying to get an idea of what this ship looked like.
It was almost like there was openings in the side of it. It didn't seem like it was shining from the bottom of it. It seemed like there's 4 large openings on the side of it, and a very bright illumination on the inside of it. These didn't appear to be like spotlights that were shining out of anything. They just seemed like they were very large holes with a bright illumination in them. Okay. And it was almost, and I agree with what some people have said. It's almost like it's a byproduct of the craft sitting still too long. It's like if they hover too long, they build up too much fire, and this illumination comes on inside the craft. Gotcha. And it seems like it has some kind of a dark shell to it. That it's like a dark shell that every time I'd seen it, even the one in the daylight, it was a very black looking shell on the craft, and it had the big round openings, and if it sits idle too long, these white lights will come shining out of these illuminated openings. And it doesn't really look like a spotlight. like that one I was following, I mean, it was in the afternoon and it just faded out. I mean, it was a black craft and it had the 4 white lights in it. And I was actually following it in my truck and had my camera trying to get a recording of it. And my camera opened and this is my perfect opportunity. And the camera failed. The lens opened up on it. And it went dead. I don't know. The batteries were dead. Well, I put new batteries in it, and that camera would never work again. I mean, to this day,
must have fried it. Well, let's move on a bit. So we had this disaster event where your partner did not get the film. What happened after that, Ronnie?
The next night was the night things got weird. Got weird and got scary too.
Okay.
That was the next night from that was the alien home invasion. So it was like they followed me home. They knew where I lived after that, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they already knew. But anyway, I'd come home and all of a sudden I have a house cat. I was living here. I have a girlfriend that lives in another town and she's going to college. So I'm living here by myself and I've got this house cat. It's just me and him living in my house.
And what year is this? So we can keep
I think this is a 2010.
2010. Okay.
This is 2010. Yeah. And it was the night after we had shot the laser at the craft. And I came home from work and my cat I come home late in the afternoon. My cat's gone. And, I don't know where he went. There was no way for him to get out of the house. And as I started going through the house, I noticed there was a big hole that had been clawed. And I have like 3 bathrooms in this old house. And there's a big hole in one of the floors. I mean, big enough I could stick my arm through it. But my cat is declawed. I don't know how in the world. And I was like, how in the world did he chew a hole through the floor like that? You know? And he was gone. And I hollered at him and I could hear him meowing up underneath the house. Mm-hmm. And at one point I stuck my arm off down in that hole because he sounded like he was close. And I was hoping I could feel him and grab him and pull him back up through the hole. And then I never could feel him. So I pulled my arm out of the hole. And when I looked down in the hole, I could see 2 eyes looking back up at me, but I can't guarantee it was a cat. But it was 2 scary looking eyes looking back up at me through that hole. And I thought, is that a cat? It could be anything down there. I thought, man, you're crazy for sticking your arm down that hole. Man, it could be anything underneath there. You know, here in Texas, we got skunks, we got coons, we got lots of stuff that could be up under your house that you don't want to grab or that will bite you, you know. So anyway, I went and I noticed the blocks had been pulled out from where you get underneath my house, my access panel. And I don't even know how heavy blocks had got moved out of the way. And I called the cat and luckily he was underneath there and he came out. So I grabbed him and I put the blocks back in place. And I went up there and got a big piece of heavy tin and patched over the hole. And was kind of frustrated. That's not exactly the kind of stuff you want to do once you come home from working all day. So
yeah,
I had a big piece of heavy roofing tin that I had, and I put screws into the floor so the cat couldn't escape through the hole again. And got all this done and got something to eat and took a shower. And it was time to go to bed because I have to get up when I go to work. I get up like 4:30 in the morning, so I have to go to bed pretty early. So I go to bed and I no sooner lay down in my bed and all of a sudden I hear glasses and stuff get knocked over in the kitchen sink and stuff. And I'm like, what? And this cat is really irritating me today, man. So I try to get up out of bed to go see what's making that noise in the kitchen. And I realize I can't get up out of this bed. I'm stuck in this bed. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with me, but for some reason I can't. The more force I try to get up, the more force holds me down. It's almost
like sleep paralysis.
It's almost like somebody's pushing on your chest, you know? Yeah. But I mean, I had just laid down. It wasn't like, I mean, I had just hit the sheet.
Ronnie, I hate to do this to you, but we're on a hard break. We're coming up on our next break. I want to pick the story up when we get back. Folks, we're in the heart of the story. Don't leave us now. Come back after these messages. Paranormal Stakeout.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
And we are back on Paranormal Stakeout with my guest tonight, Ronnie Dawson. Ronnie, this is one heck of a story here. So I want to get right back into it. So you're home from work. You've found your cat. You've patched the hole. You hit the rack. Suddenly you're hearing noises and things going on. You think the cat's going crazy, but what was it actually?
Yeah, the odd thing was I couldn't picture what was going on with me because I thought, man, I'm having some kind of medical condition because I'm like stuck in this bed and I can't move. I can move. It seemed like I can move my head. I can move my eyes, but it's like I can't feel anything hold me in bed. But once I try to get up, it's like there's a tremendous force. It's like something is interrupting the signal between my brain and my body, man. It's like it is not working. And it's like, now I can use force, but the more force I use to try to get up, the more force it uses to keep me down. So I'm struggling with the idea that I'm having some kind of a heart attack or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I can still hear the glasses in the kitchen being knocked over, and I can hear cabinet doors opening and drawers being pulled out. And I'm going, okay, now that is not the cat. The cat, now he may knock something over from time to time, but he doesn't open cabinet doors. Mm-hmm. He doesn't open cabinet drawers. And so I'm going, I'm trapped in this bed. There's something in the house. And then all of a sudden I look out of my bedroom door, and I can hear the stuff going on in the kitchen. I see my cat. My cat is standing at my bedroom door, and he's looking back towards the kitchen like something's freaking him out too. And he's, I'm going, oh, well, whatever it is, ain't the cat. It's certainly not the cat. And so the cat runs in there and he jumps in the bed with me. And I'm sitting there frozen in bed. He's walking around the bed like nothing's affecting him at all. And all of a sudden I see something come streaking by where my bedroom door is. It looks into the living room. And I see something streaking by that. And I mean, I've never seen anything move this fast. All it is a brown streak. And it streaked across the room. And then all of a sudden I seen it streak back across the room, and I'm hearing it it's in the living room now. They've knocked over a desk that's at the computer desk, and it broke the bulb and the lamp, and they're knocking stuff over, and I can hear the drawers in the living room opening and stuff. And I can, every now and then I can see these streaks of something flying by the door. And at one point I see one, it streaks up on the wall. It runs across a vertical wall. It runs sideways across a vertical wall. And I'm like, okay. And when I seen that, I was hoping that maybe it was a raccoon or a squirrel had something got into my house, because I live under a lot of pecan trees, and I've actually had squirrels get through my drop down ceiling before. And I've had to catch them with leather gloves and trout nets and throw them out,
Well, how big was this thing you were seeing traversing your walls?
They weren't small. They were this thing. It was larger than a squirrel, but I mean, it was moving so fast you couldn't get a good look at it. But I seen it streak across the vertical wall, because my wall in there was white, and I could see this thing run clearly across the vertical wall. And then at one point I seen one run up the wall, push off the ceiling, and run straight back down to the floor. And I'm going, okay, this is nothing. This is not a raccoon. This is not a squirrel. And the cat's up there. He's looking like he's watching too, like he's freaking him out. And I'm like, well, go in there and get him. But he didn't want no part of it. And these things are running around there. Then every now and then they'll open a drawer, they'll knock something over, and then all of a sudden there was like two of them in there, and they were just running crazy in there. and causing all sorts of havoc. And then all of a sudden, a third one came onto the scene. Now, this thing, he come in fast. And he stopped right in the doorway. Now, this I'm looking through at the doorway of my bedroom. This thing is 10 feet away, and it come in on all fours, and it stopped. And when it stopped, I could see it clear as day. It's 10 feet away.
Okay.
This is the ugliest daggum thing you'd ever seen, man. This thing.
Tell us what it looked like.
It couldn't have been no more than about 18 inches tall. It ran on all fours, and when it stopped, it was on all fours, and it looked like it had a shell on it with these thorn appendages sticking out, and almost the color of it was like a brown, almost copper looking color on it. And when this thing
stood
up,
a ninja turtle.
Yeah, when this thing stood up, or a goblin, I don't know what you'd call this thing. It was like the closest thing I've ever seen to it would be the Gremlin show that you see on TV, but this thing didn't have big ears. And in fact, it almost had a humanoid looking face. It had big eyes, but they were squinted, like what little bit of light in the room was hurting its eyes. And it had really tight, it had a nose like a human, and it had a mouth that was really tight, like an angry old man. It looked like the face on it looked like an angry old man, but that was the only thing about this thing that looked human. Everything else about this thing looked like more like an insect. And with this thing, he stood up on his hind legs it runs on all four, and he stood up on his back two legs. And this is the ugliest daggum thing you ever seen. And it looked to the other two like it was scolding or something like this, you know. And I noticed they stopped running around like they were playing chase, and then they started opening the drawers and stuff again. And I didn't hear him make any sound to the other two, but he looked at them, and it was almost like he scolded them or something. And they started to open. I could hear the drawers and cabinets opening again.
What were they looking for? Any idea?
Only thing I could figure was they were looking for the laser that I had fired at their craft the night before.
Oh, well, you know, they probably thought you were attacking them or something, maybe, huh?
Maybe they wanted to check it out. I don't know what their purpose for being there wasn't. That's just the only time I've seen those guys was that one time. And I was like, oh, the guy, you know, I was thinking then, yeah, this has more to do with what happened last night than anything that's going on with squirrels or raccoons, anything like that. This has to be the repercussions of what we did last night. And I'm thinking, oh, they just take whatever you want and get the heck out of here, you know? Well, I'm thinking as long as they stay out there and they don't come in the bedroom where I'm at, I'm still paralyzed in this bed. Yeah.
They say anything to you at all?
No, I didn't.
No communication?
No, I didn't hear anything, but you could hear their feet shuffling. They moved so fast. It was like a shuffling noise, like a giant cockroach or something like that, man. I mean, my God, these things are fast, and they had some pretty nasty looking claws on their hands too.
Okay.
And when this guy stood up, man, I mean, he even the top of his head, he almost looked like he had like I don't know if it was a body armor or exoskeleton shell on this thing or what, but it had these thorn appendages sticking off of it. Like if you would have grabbed him, it'd really hurt you. And I was hoping, man, these guys just don't come in here. Well, next thing they did, they all three came in there and ran up underneath the bed, and they're picking the bed up, the bed frame, the mattress with me on it, and they're bouncing me on this mattress like popcorn. And I'm bouncing up and down on the mattress, and I still can't do anything. And the cat freaks out, and the cat takes off, and he's sliding around the door to get out of there. And I was wishing I could have went with him. But they're just bouncing me on this mattress, and I mean, they're lifting the box springs, the mattress, the whole bed, and just bouncing it, rattling it. And then I hear them clawing at the underneath of it, like they're going to claw through the mattress and get my back. And I thought, man, I'm fixing to die here. You know, I'm fixing to die here. You know, I got to come up with a plan. And I thought, man, and you know, you're scared for a while, and then you get frustrated, and then you get angry, and it was like either they're going to kill me or I'm going to kill them. So I thought, well, I'm going to try to break free. I got a golf club in the corner. I'm going to grab the golf club, and I'm going to kill these things. And so when I tried to break free this time, the force that held me down this time, it felt like I almost had a heart attack and died. I mean, it felt like it almost killed me. I fought it so hard, and I could not break free, and it hurt. And it hurt bad, and it felt like I couldn't hardly breathe. It felt like my heart had almost stopped. And I just relaxed in bed and said, I can't do it. And I'm at their mercy. I can't do anything. Well, I heard them. They're over there messing around at the gun cabinet. And that gun cabinet over there is where the laser is kept. And they stopped clawing at the bed. And I was thinking, thank God, you know, at least, you know, at least they're not going to kill me, maybe. And they're over there messing around. And then all of a sudden they get to where the laser's at. They unlock the gun cabinet and they access the laser. And then they just took off. And I never heard the sight or sound of them. And all of a sudden the weirdest thing happened when it was almost like when they released me, my brain processed what I had tried to do, what seemed like 5 minutes earlier. I jumped out of that bed. I screamed bloody murder. I grabbed that golf club and I was in a fit of rage. And I had tried to do this 5 minutes earlier. And obviously it was like they had blocked the signal from my brain to my body. And when they released me, that was the first thing that got processed because I wasn't even trying to do that. And it freaked me out because if you can imagine how you would feel if your body did something that you didn't want it to without you telling it to. Yeah. So I was like, what am I doing? But all I know is I'm angry and I've got aliens in my house and I got a golf club in my hand and I'll go on an alien hunt. I go looking through the house. They open every cabinet, every drawer in the whole house. I seen the stuff they knocked over in there by the kitchen sink. I see the lamp knocked over at the computer desk. And,
did you call anybody? Did you call the police? Did you call the government? Did you call the military?
I looked there and I looked up underneath the bed and I even checked up underneath it. They clawed through the box springs and they clawed the wood up underneath the box springs. You can see some big scrape marks in the wood up where they were clawing at the underneath. There's no doubt I had physical evidence. And, and I was looking at Rick. I still thought I had aliens on the premises, so I kept looking, man. It was like if I'm gonna kill one of these guys, then we'll have to. You want proof? We'll have some proof. If I find one of these guys, I'm fixing to kill him.
Well, did you take any picture of the damage to your house, the claw marks, things like that?
No, I should have. What I did was I got rid of it. I freaked out. I was afraid they put something in it, man. Well, it was a pretty new mattress, and I got rid of that thing. I didn't feel comfortable sleeping on it anymore. It's like I wanted it out of here.
Did you call the cops? Did you call the government? Did you call the military?
I found out where I put that metal in the floor. They had pulled it up. They had pulled the screws out of the wood, and they had where I had patched that hole. So I was like, man, they may have been in the house earlier in the day. And they may have taken the cat underneath the house, or the cat escaped through the hole trying to get away from them. I don't know what all went on here. And I thought about calling the cops, and I was like, and I talked to my friend Al, and I'm going, man, should I call the cops? And he's going, well, what kind of proof you got? I'm like, well,
when did you get hold of your
knocked
friend?
Over, there's stuff broken, and I'm like, and it's like, you really think the cops are going to believe you? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I said, I can't live here, man. I said, these things could be nested up under my house. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll come over in the morning. And I had a spotlight on my head, and I had a knife, and I had a gun. I had to crawl underneath my house to make sure that they weren't still under there, because I couldn't sleep another night in here and have any kind of peace and not be wondering these things ain't nested up underneath that house,
Yeah. Having pictures of that damage probably would have been a huge help to you. Because I'm sure you've taken a lot of heat for these stories. Am I correct?
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, I know people don't want to believe you to start with, and they're going to say they look at the claw marks and say, oh, that could have happened by a cat, could have done that, or anything could have done that, rat could have done it, and I'm sitting there going, well, I got no evidence. I ain't got enough evidence to convince anyone, so it's just going to cause me more grief. And
speaking of claw marks and stuff, I know we've got another part of the story we're going to want to hear, but we're coming up on our last break. So I'm anxious to hear the postscript to this story in just a few minutes. So folks, stay with us. Paranormal Stakeout, my guest tonight, alien abductee, Ronnie Dawson. So stick with us, and we'll be back right after these messages. And we are back on Paranormal Stakeout. My guest tonight, Ronnie Dawson. As we head into our last little bit together here, I just want to remind everybody, check out our website at the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation at paranormalfbi.com, also indianriverhauntings.com, and do consider sending us some questions and thoughts to ghostguy at paranormalstakeout.org. You fill out the form there, send us your thoughts and your questions, and we'll answer them right at the beginning of each show. And of course, Ronnie Dawson, our guest tonight, he is the author of Ronnie Dawson, a UFO story, and you can find that Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and most fine book retailers. And also, Ronnie, you have a YouTube channel too, correct?
Oh yes, Ronnie Dawson YouTube channel. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well,
and I post, I like I said, I don't want anybody to just have to take my word for it. And I've got pictures and video of some of the stuff I've seen, and some of the most amazing pictures that anybody's ever taken. And people can call me a liar, but they say, "Is my camera lying too?"
Okay,
photographic evidence is evidence, whether they like it or not. It may not be the quality that you want,
well, so. Pretty fantastic stories. I mean, I can see where you've probably taken some heat over the years for some of it.
Oh yeah,
MegaCon 2021. I think. How were you received there?
Yeah, and well, like I said, it's a long story, and I seen it. The ET came back a year after that event.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
And that's when I was in Coma, Texas, and I had the mothership fly over. And most of the videos and pictures you'll see of my stuff are of that night. I seen 3 UFOs in about a 1 hour period, and one of them was a mile-long V-shaped mothership. And I mean, this thing, it rotated down to the ground, and it was some weird lights that rotated like in a circular pattern, and they were getting lower and lower. And when they passed over my head, my God, it took this thing 2 or 3 seconds to pass over me. It was solid rock. I mean, it wasn't a ship per se. It was a city built on a V-shaped rock. The bottom on this thing was passing over my head. I could look up. It probably wasn't 200 feet up in the air, and I could see burn marks and crater marks. And it looked like you were looking at the surface of the moon. Impact marks on this thing. And it was solid rock. There for a few seconds, I thought it was a meteor, a giant meteor, and I thought I was fixing to get taken out by this giant meteor that was coming in. And then all of a sudden, it slowed down and tilted up, and then changed directions, and then it shot away from me, and then it banked and come back at me. And when it banked and came back at me, I could see there was a city on the top of this thing.
A city.
And yes, I mean, it was buildings. There's structures. There's man, and thank goodness I caught some video of this thing. I caught like 17 seconds of video. There's only 7 seconds of the left half of the craft, but on that video, man, you can see all this stuff. It's on my YouTube channel.
Well, check that chat. But I want to hear about, you actually had one-on-one contact with some of these beings. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the mothership sighting was in 2011. And in 2017, it was the first time I actually got to meet these guys. Earlier in the year, I had a chance to talk to Stanton Friedman. I was at the Roswell UFO Festival, and I said, Stan, you're a smart guy, and I'm just an old truck driver. I said, if I get a chance to talk to these guys, what should I ask them? And Stanton gave me some advice, and it actually came in handy, because in 2017, I actually got to meet these guys. These guys actually, it was the weirdest daggum thing you could ever imagine. I was working nights. I came home, and this wasn't even at night. This was like early in the morning. I probably got off work at 5 a.m. in the morning, and this probably all happened about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And I'm in bed asleep, dreaming away, or not dreaming or whatever. I don't even remember dreaming. All I remember is there was 2 females had my arms, and they were pulling me.
Females.
And I'm like, what? And then I slipped out of their grasp, and I fell back to sleep. And I thought, man, that was a weird dream. It was just a weird little short mini dream. And I started sleeping again. Next thing you know, they got me by the arms again, and they're pulling me. And one of them looks me straight in the face and says, help us. And I felt like I was stuck in a manhole or something, and they were trying to pull me loose. And so I struggled to get free. And finally I finally got loose, and I came loose from whatever they were pulling me out of, and all of a sudden they started apologizing. We're sorry for disturbing your rest. We needed to have a conversation, and I'm going.
Were these humans or were they the aliens?
I thought my wife was playing some kind of joke on me. I mean,
so you're married. You're married by this point, okay?
Yeah, I'm married. My wife's living here, and she's awake. She's doing her wifely duties in the same house where I'm sleeping, and I'm sitting here. Two alien women pull me out of my, and it's not my body; it's my conscious. They pull my consciousness out of my sleeping body for a conversation, and I always thought when your consciousness left your sleeping body, you were dead. It's game over.
Sure.
But they pulled me out of my sleeping body for a conversation. They started apologizing for disturbing my rest. And I'm thinking, my wife is playing a joke on me. Where is she? And I know her friends, but this don't look like any of her friends. This one is, she has to be like 6'6". She's got blue skin and her eyes are as big as our eye sockets. Okay. And she's tall, skinny, athletic. And then the other one is a shorter, stockier, has big hair. And I'm looking these two over and I'm thinking, well, if they're wearing costumes, they really got some good ones. These are some good costumes these gals are wearing. And my wife is playing a joke on me or something. But I looked at that other one. She looked, and I looked at, she looked like a human face, but right here at her nose, it went into a lion's mouth. And I mean, on her upper lip, you could even see she had whiskers coming out of her upper lip she had them trimmed off. And I was like, and then I was like, okay, that is that's a really good costume there. I mean, that's amazing costume there. And then they're telling me that, this is a place where people are world. This is a place they observe us from. My wife goes walking through the bedroom, and I'm going, well, I'm sitting there talking to 2ET. Here goes my wife walking through the bedroom, and we're not 15 feet from her. And she just strolls right through there like nothing. And she said, this is where we watch it. So they can't hear or see us. It said, you can't hear or see us from here. She said, this is where we've been observing you. And this is where the people in your world and the people our world are going to meet, because we're safe from bacterial, viral, and physical harm here. And I looked down there and I could see my body sleeping in bed, and I wanted to go take a look at closer. Is that really me sleeping in my spot? I wanted to look down at my own face, and I tried to take a step, and I fell forward because I didn't know it at the time, but my knees were buried into the bed. And I looked down and I fell forward, and I put my hand, because I was falling on the knee of the guy sleeping in bed, which is me. And then I rested on it for a second, and then my hand felt like it broke the leg, and I went through the bone, and I could feel the mattress underneath, the soft mattress underneath. And it freaked me out. And I pulled my hand back up, and these two gals, they walked me out of the bed, and they said, look, you can move through solid matter here. You're all right. Your body's sleeping there peacefully in bed. You're not, we're not going to hurt you, and you're going to be okay. And I'm going, okay. She said, yeah, this is where the people of your world and our people are going to meet. My wife comes walking back out of the bathroom. She looks towards us. She pauses and looks towards us. Well, it freaks out the cat lady looking one. And she looks at
cats.
Huh?
You and cats.
I don't know. This is a cat woman. I mean, and she looked at there and she spoke English, but I mean, she had trouble making English out of her mouth. Her mouth wasn't made to talk English language, but it looked to me like I could see her speaking to the other one. And she said, can she see us? And my wife paused, and she looked like she was looking right at us. And the tall blue one pointed at my body sleeping in bed, said, no, she's looking at him. And then she stopped for a second, and then she continued walking out of the bedroom. And I asked her later, I said, why did you do that? I said, you walked out of the bathroom, you paused, you looked over at the bed, and then you went ahead and walked out of the room. She said, well, you have sleep apnea. And she said, I worry about you stopping breathing sometimes. She said, so I'll pause. I'll see your chest rising up and down. Okay. I know you're all right. And I'll go ahead and leave the room, And I never knew she did that, but I saw it firsthand.
Well, what did these two female aliens, the cat lady, what did they want from you? Well,
the conversation they were wanting to have, they were the people of their world were wanting to meet the people of our world, and they were wanting to know how to go about doing it, know. And I'm going, well, you're asking the wrong guy, I mean, there's a whole lot smarter people to ask than me. And, they said, no. I said, we want to meet you all. And they said, they asked me, they said, do you think if we make open contact to your people of the world, they will give us we need large samples of biological materials. I said, yeah, if you make open friendly contact, I believe they would, you know. And at one point, the blue lady, I wanted to get a good look at her eyes. Couldn't really look. I couldn't tell if her eyes were black or if they were. And I got really close to her face because I wanted to look into her eyes and see what her eyes really looked like from close. And when I got close to her, it kind of freaked her out, I think. And she gave me a message to give everyone. She said, tell everybody. She said, when it comes time for the people of our world, the people of your world to meet, she said, all that we ask is that there be no physical contact without a request being made and a responsive affirmation. So in other words, they don't want us touching them unless we ask permission first. Like they don't want you walking up and hugging them or shaking their hand unless you would say, may I shake your hand or something like that. They want to, I guess that's the way it's done.
Permission. Okay.
Now the other cat lady, now she's sitting there she's been holding my hand the whole time that she walked me out of the bed. And so apparently it's different with her. And and she's holding, and I wanted to, because it felt like she was wearing a leather glove. So I grabbed her hand, I pulled it away from me just for a second. It almost seemed like it hurt her feelings that I was denying physical touch or whatever, but I just wanted to look at her hand. And on her hand, she had pads in between every digit of her fingers. She had fingers and hands like us, but she had pads on the palm of her hand and even in the digits of her fingers in between the knuckles. And
we've only got about a minute and a half left before we have this gone so quickly. What did they want though? What was the big thing that they wanted?
Well, the big thing they wanted was that they wanted to know how I thought that we should go about making contact. And at first I told them they would have to give me a piece of alien technology that I could take to the scholars and skeptics to prove that they're actually visiting me, that I'm actually in conversation with them. And then I said, well, hold on, somebody could take that from me or whatever. I said, what might even be better would be if you would just bring a huge ship in and fly it around the earth until everybody's seen it. There wouldn't be no hiding it. Wouldn't be no denying it. And I said, that's the best advice that I could give you is to bring a huge ship in and just circle the earth until everyone's seen it.
Okay. Have you had any recent contact in the last couple of years?
Well, yeah, I had to. I know this story gets so weird, man. It's almost so weird. I hate to say it, but people got a right to hear it. People got a right to know it. I ain't doing anybody a favor by keeping it a secret. So. But they needed a biological sample. They made a clone of me with it. And then in 2020, they put me in that clone on an alien planet.
Interesting.
And that's another story.
Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time. We're going to have you back to finish this story. Ronnie, thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you, folks, for joining us here on Paranormal Stakeout. And until we get together again, stay safe, and we'll see you on the other side. Have a good night.